How's it going, guys? So you'll see me just whizzing around doing my bits in Lidl in the last few clips. This is the product of it. There's a few bits in there I've thrown in that I've already had, and I just thought I might as well show it you all as one. But this is just a good example of a weekly food shop that I'll do to get me through a week's worth of cutting. So I've made some kind of attempt to split things up to explain it to you. So we'll go through protein first. So this is my little stash of protein. We've got lean turkey mince, that's the 7% thigh mince rather than the breast, just because it's a bit juicier, it's a bit tastier. For me, it's worth the extra calories for the sake of it tasting that little bit better. If I was really trying to get to like the final stages of leaning down, then maybe I'm going to have to go 2%, but until then, 7% is good. We've got 5% lean beef mince, which is really the only kind of red meat that I'll go for when I'm in a cutting phase for the sake of saving the calories. Maybe a steak here and there, but that's a staple. And typical bodybuilder stuff, chicken breasts, can't go wrong. So might throw some whitefish, tuna in there as well, and obviously things like protein shakes can come in to help the protein out. But that's really simple, not kind of back-breakingly expensive. So yeah, that's protein. Carbs, the fun stuff. Sweet potatoes, again, classic bodybuilder stuff. Pasta gets a bad rep. I don't know why, but it's fantastic for high carbs, low fat, which is really what you want from a carb source. You don't want to kind of sacrifice too much in the way of fats for the sake of getting in more carbohydrates. So all of my carb sources are trying to hit that target. High carb, low fat. They're typically going to be low protein, but that's why we have the protein sources in there. So we've got white pasta, Snacker Jacks. I like the caramel, or even the cheese ones are actually pretty underrated. Salt and vinegar as well. The chocolate ones tend to be a bit higher on the fat, so I tend to skip them, and they're too easy to eat as well, to be honest. Cereals wise, any kind of like oat sachets are very good. I like the sachets because it stops you kind of just, when you're cutting and you savour every gram, it's too easy to like pour the oats in out of like just a bag of oats and be like, oh, another 10 grams, another 15, another 20. And before you know it, you've bumped your oats up 30, 40 grams more than what you maybe should have done. So the sachets are good for just controlling your consumption a bit better. Cocoa Pops, or whatever version of Cocoa Pops your supermarket does. It's a trendy fitness thing to do, have Cocoa Pops in your diet, but it's just like I say, they're very good for being very high carb, pretty low fat. Like those for 100 grams are less than 3 grams of fat, which is pretty good going, and 100 grams is a fuckload of Cocoa Pops. Frosted Flakes or Frosties, any variation of are very good as well. The Sugar Puffs, or again, any variation of those are very good. It's the ones that have got a higher fat content you need to be mindful of. So the things like crunchy nuts, anything that's got nuts and chocolate in is typically going to bang your fats right up, and the calorie intake is going to be quite high on any cereal like that. So I tend to steer away from those. Bread, a bit like pasta, it gets demonized, but not really for a good reason. Like, it's just the same as the others. Very high in carbs, pretty low in fat. Doesn't really matter if it's brown or white, just whatever your preference is. And yeah, if you like eggs in the morning like I do, then it's an easy way to get your carbs in. Now, the ready-to-go rices, like the microwave ones, a couple of hacks with these. Tilda tends to be a lot lower in carbs and overall calories than things like Uncle Ben's and a lot of supermarket varieties. Don't know why, but just are. Even though like the serving size is the same. Golden Vegetable tends to be very low in, well, not very low, but slightly lower in carbs and calories than a lot of other varieties of rice. If you can get a bag of rice that weighs in at just under 400 calories rather than just over 400, then you're winning. It just saves some calories for elsewhere. So a lot of the Tildas I'll use, and a lot of Golden Vegetable. Another one on the rices, VT do these little double packs, which are good. Again, a bit like the oat sachets, it's just really good for portion control. And then if I'm out and about and I need carbs quick, little baby rice cakes and a protein shake or a protein bar is just a really easy way to make sure you get your protein, you get your carbohydrates, and you're not fluffing around. While I'm on the subject of quick food, if you've seen my stories recently, you'll have seen those. The John West lunch on the go, little, I call them the cat food tins, and that really is what they look like, and they smell like it too, but they taste alright. 325 calories, and that's like one of the higher ones, and you've got just over 20 grams of protein, I think, in one of those normally, and you've got a good hit of carbs in there as well, so they're very good if you are out and about and you don't want to be prepping meals every day. Condiments, my two main ones for the sake of saving calories will be French's mustard, low calorie ketchup, a lot lower than I've talked about before, things like barbecue, sweet chili. It's not to say you can't use them, but you've got to be mindful that they can stack up calories very quick. With that in mind, herbs and spices. Now, if you want to maximise flavour, minimise calories, these are your best mates. The ones that I like, peri peri, seasonal, oregano, dead simple and they go with most things. But yeah, you can fill your boots, use whatever ones you particularly like. But it's always going to be better using those than like sauces in jars or whatever, because yeah, it's just more calories you don't necessarily need. I missed out healthy fats and protein. So healthy fats and protein being the eggs. Lucky enough that I've got some chickens that lay me the eggs, so I have them most days. And then for the sake of healthy fats, black olives. The problem I have with a lot of fats is a lot of fatty foods. I struggle again with portion control, things like peanut butter. So to have something that's maybe not as tasty to me is a better thing when it comes to my fats, because it's just not this internal struggle all the time. Peanut butter in mind, powdered peanut butter, really, really good if you do still want kind of the flavour, but you don't want to be getting hit with the calories. I'll put that in oats, and it will be way, way less calories than if I'm dumping peanut butter in, actual peanut butter. And sticking with the theme of saving calories, 1 calorie spray instead of butter, very, very good. Fluid intake, 0 sugar cordials, they're very, very good. And again, slightly different flavours each time will just kind of keep you stimulated as well, and just mean you've got something sweet and easy to go to if you have got a bit of a sweet tooth. Dark fruits, very low sugar, low calorie compared to yellow and orangey fruits. It's not that you can't eat those fruits if you are in fat loss phase, but again, you'll just stack up your carbs and your overall calories quicker with things like nectarines, bananas. So I still will have them, but I won't have as much of them as what I will have raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, that kind of stuff. Couple of bits of veg. So these again, best mates if you're trying to maximise food and not maximise or not have so many calories. I think that, yeah, that's right. So green beans, -2. Cherry tomatoes, you can have a whole punnet of them for less than 100 calories, easy. So it's a good little snack. Bagged salad, gherkins. Like they are, I don't know how they do it with these things, but they are literally per 100 grams, yeah, 50 odd calories. Those are like higher calories than the normal ones. I don't know why those are that high, but that is high at just 50. I think that's just about it on the food I wanted to run through, because I don't want to make this too long for you, but that's just a good example of like a weekly shot for me, and I think it would probably weigh in at about 70 quid. That's typical for a weekly food shop for me, but some of this stuff will last me longer than a week, some maybe not quite a week, but around about 70 quid. There's this big misconception that eating healthy has to be expensive. It can be if you want to go buy kind of line caught salmon and 20 avocados a week, but it doesn't have to be expensive if you don't want it to be. Like this, most of this came from Lidl. Lidl and Aldi are always up in their game now, so sometimes I'll slip into Tesco or Sainsbury's if the occasion's there. But You do not have to make it expensive if you don't want it to be. That's a massive thing to remember. So do not fall into that trap of, oh, I can't eat healthy because it's expensive and I just can't justify doing it. Like 70 quid, that's a team night out, that's a couple of takeaways, you could equate it to a lot of unhealthy things, or you could have a whole food shop. So yeah, I hope you found that valuable anyway. Any questions you've got, just drop them in the comments. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, do it for me please, or tell someone else to do it, because I'm trying to up the game on this. Where all this stuff's concerned, actually, the last thing I wanted to say is just how I split it up into a day's worth of calories. So like I mentioned in the last video, I'm around 650 I think at the minute. So I'll put a little animation of how that's split up here. It's not in 6 meals a day out of Tupperware. It's very normal. It's a normal pattern of eating. So don't believe that you've got to live the Tupperware life at all. I'll maybe put an example of the foods as well if I can there, so it's really useful for you. But yeah, I'll leave it at that anyway, guys. Thank you for the support as always, and if you've got anything particular you want to see next covered on these videos, then do let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.